everybody. Chris McDonald with you. We are live and switchedonlife.com, baby. We got the man tonight, but he's not live. He is on a pre-recorded interview we did this morning with him, and this is our early bird. We'll be back on later tonight around 11. We're getting a lot of praise for these late shows. We had a great late show last night with Cleo. And so we'll be back with the news tonight at 11 for all the late nighters, the West Coasters, and the night owls that are like me, usually don't go to sleep till 2 or 3 in the morning anyway. So you might as well just stay up and listen to me rant and rave and me run my mouth and laugh. And I may even pull the Santa hat out tonight. I'm thinking about it. It's Christmas. I don't know what I'm doing. I should have wore it tonight. But we've got a very great interview coming up with Eric. We're going to be talking about this terrorist attack that has killed 2 people at Brown University over the weekend. It was one of 3 attacks against Jewish people. There's been an MIT professor tonight that has been found murdered in his home. He was very pro-Israel, very pro-Jewish. He was Jewish, actually, pro-Israel. And folks, it just seems there's open season. But the government and the state of Rhode Island and Brown University, it should not shock us that this has happened, is a hotbed for Islamic terrorism, and it's not being reported in the media. And they're hiding the fact of this guy's origin. There have been numerous reports. And my brother even tonight before the show texted me and asked me, could we vet this? We're not 100% sure, but I'm about 98% sure that he was screaming Ali Akbar when he went in and did this atrocious deed. There have been a few others injured. One report we got was that this shooting was in a Jewish professor's office, that he was actually targeting the Department of Jewish Studies. And a fine young lady was killed. She's down in Alabama from my wife's state, home state. And they actually flew the flags at half-mast yesterday in honor of her, and today as well. And senseless killing. And we are being targeted, folks. I'm telling you, this is an absolute insane time that we're living in. And we're going to talk with Eric a little bit about a lot of things. We're going to talk with him about the narco boat killers, the U.S. bombing boats and making them fish food, as Jeannie Castellanova affectionately called them the other day during a Bible study. She said, yeah, they're fish food. And she meant that with all due respect to the fish. But anyway, we're going to talk about that with him. We're going to talk about the Somalia invasion in Minnesota. And we're going to get his thoughts on a lot of things tonight. This is my dear friend. I met Eric back in late 2018, actually, for the first time. And it was my first trip ever to CPAC. And the network that I was with at the time, they didn't want to interview him. They were too busy. And the lady in charge of that interview walked up to me and she said, would you mind doing me a favor? There's a guy over there. I want you to go do his interview. I don't want to take the time to do it. So I did. And I interviewed Eric Caron. And we became instant friends that day. And he came on the show shortly after that. And we're going on 8 years now knowing each other. I've broke bread with him at his house. I've spent the night at his house with him when I was traveling through New England, and he offered me his home as a great gesture to be a sort of a stop on the road, and I was really grateful for that. And he's just a fine friend, and we rag each other pretty good, and we do it all in jest. And let's put it like this: we have conversations off camera. We can't air those on the air, but we have a long discussion. And we understand each other pretty good on how we stand. We are on the same page in the same universe on a lot of things. And he makes me laugh. And we try to make him laugh too. But I will tell you this. He's given many years of service to our nation, and I appreciate that in him. And I do encourage you. We got a website down here, switchedonlife.com. He's got one of the greatest books, honestly, that you're going to find. And it tells a story of a former federal agent. He busted up a illegal immigration ring back in the late 2000s, and instead of the government standing with Eric, they stood with the illegals. And this was right sort of in the Bush-Obama transition time. And he got out after that, and he's been touring the country ever since and talking about the dangers of illegal immigration and migration and the threats of Iran. He's been on this show numerous times, and one of my favorite guests. And we're going to have a good time talking, but he's going to be talking about some serious things. And I'm going to ask you, I don't mind if you chat, folks, but please, if you're going to comment, please keep the comments on topic. Be brief. Don't put paragraphs. Don't put a bunch of weird, crazy stuff out there. Respect our guests. Try to affirm only if you can. And we will take your questions at the end tonight. And then tonight, after a new show, if you can't stay up with us for that show, we'll definitely take some tonight. But we're definitely going to take some tonight late. And I do my best work late at night because that's when all the crazies come out and they relate to McDonald. I'm not calling any of you crazy out there. I'll get in trouble for saying some individuals will take that clip. I told you he thought y'all were a bunch of crazies. Well, just understand we crazies have to stick together. And I mean it affectionately. So if you can't be with us tonight, we'll take your questions after Eric here. But here is the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only. And we're grateful to have him tonight. And we've got more to say at the end of this show. Listen, this, all jokes aside, this is going to be some riveting information. He's got some things about this that are going to be intriguing because he believes that we're being lied to be frank with you, and I do too, about what's going on up there. And he does not have anything flattering to say about the Rhode Island mayor nor the governor. And I think we're both in agreement on that. The one and only Eric Karen and the Mac Man, we're grateful you're with us tonight. Put some fire in that house for him ahead of time. You're going to enjoy this interview. And I'll be back to talk to you after this briefly. And then we'll see you back here tonight, late show at 11. All right? Here's Eric and me. Good to see you tonight. And a good morning, everybody. Good evening. Chris McDonald with you. Pre-recorded today with my dear buddy, Eric Karen. We was hoping we could get him on before the holidays. And your hair growth gel is on the way for your Christmas gift, Karen. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But it's good to see you, man. And
Good to see you.
We got a lot to talk about today. And one of the reasons we brought Eric on, we've had this tragic shooting in Brown University up in Rhode Island. And Eric was the head agent at the Homeland Security agency's office there, and we're going to get his insight on this because there's a lot of things out there about this that has never smelt right, and I know Eric's got some thoughts on that, but I want to get some thoughts on some other stuff too. But it's good to see you. Welcome back to the Mac Files. Always a pleasure. SwitchedOnLife.com is the book. And the man, we got the man with the plan. Good to see you today, buddy.
Good, great seeing you, Chris. It's always a privilege to come on with you and share my thoughts. Unfortunately, it's not usually very good thoughts on tragedies that's happened, not just in America, but in the world, that affects all of us. So, what happened at Brown, it was a terrible incident, and unfortunately, there were some mistakes made, and here we are. We still have a shooter on the loose.
Yeah, I do want to ask you about that because as you said, they've still not found this guy, and I'm assuming it's a guy. I would hope that it's a guy. Women wouldn't be brandishing weapons and doing this. But I want you to give me your take on this because there just seems to be so much effort, Eric, to hide the fact this guy was screaming Ali Akbar. There's been so many confirmations that this guy was an Islamic terrorist. I mean, this was terrorism. From what I understand, and you can help me, but I understand that this shooting actually took place in a Jewish professor's office. And the dear young lady that died, she's actually from my wife's state of Alabama.
Yeah.
And, just conservative, just nothing, no harm, but it was just because she was a conservative that this could be a very well targeted attack. And I want to get your thoughts on this because I tell you, this anti-Semitic rage, man, down under in America right now and all of this world is unlike anything I've seen. And I know it's exploded since I met you. I met you about 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And I tell you, bro, I've not seen something like this in my lifetime. I knew it was coming, but I didn't know how it would look real time. But the real time look ain't pretty.
Yeah, no, it's not. And Chris, listen, let me just say for probably the 100th time that we are at we're in the middle of a war with Islamic terrorists.
Yes.
And, our most, Muslims, terrorists? No, but 1% of the Muslim population are extremists, without a doubt.
Right.
1%. So that being said, we got a lot of extremists running around this world and in America. I mean, so there's any estimates between 400 to 700,000 extremists here, in the globe, if you will, extremists. That's a lot. And of course, we have the issues in Afghanistan and in Syria. We have problems that we need to recognize. And that's why border security is national security. We need to keep these people out and their weapons out of America. Now, on the Brown incident, Chris, I wish the politicians would just concentrate on the roads and bridges and stay out of doing press conferences for their next campaign. Really. I mean, we have a mayor, we have the governor, we have state elected officials, the senator. It's ridiculous.
Correct.
It really is. I mean, yesterday's press conference in the evening was not good. Was not well run. They spent the first 10 minutes congratulating each other on a job well done and how they're coordinating and recognizing everybody and their mother, including Santa Claus. And then they get up and say, well, we have some pictures, and they don't describe the subject.
I know.
So we don't know who it is. And let me just say, Chris, I believe it was a targeted attack.
I do too.
You see those images. I was born at night, not last night, and you see him casing the location. I believe it was a targeted attack. Now, was it a man? Was it a female? Was it a transgender? We can't tell really underneath those clothing and mask. Go ahead.
Just not to interrupt you, but do you believe, though, the stories about him shouting Ali Akbar? I do, because it fits the MO, Eric, of what's going on. And if you look at the radicalization, Brown is one of the most liberal colleges in this nation.
Yeah.
And it matches the MO of all of these attacks that are going on these campuses. Look, they're not just targeting kids and conservatives. It's Christians, Jews, but Jews especially right now. And it would make sense. And when the reporter asked the chief, and he made the statement, well, he yelled something. You cannot tell me that the freaking law enforcement agency of this nation does not know what he yelled. They know what he yelled, but they wouldn't say it. And that's
Correct.
what I was trying to get my point to you, is that they are hiding it because they don't want Islam to be put in a bad light. And Eric, that's going to be the death of us, bro. That's going to be the death of this country.
Well, we've seen it, Chris, unfortunately, over the last 4+ years under the Biden and Obama administration. Newspapers and online social media platforms were vetted, if you will. You couldn't use the word black or white or Hispanic or we couldn't describe suspects. I know firsthand. I've seen it. You've seen it, where the subject's clearly of black, and they're not describing him as a black suspect. And so, this is going to hurt us. This is going to kill more people because we need to get the information out. You're absolutely right. We have specialists, linguists, who, based on their words and their accent, can describe to the American people and the public, this man said this, and he had a Southern accent. He had a Middle Eastern accent. Let's narrow down the scope. All we have right now is a 5'8" heavyset individual. We don't know if it's a man or female. Shame on the politicians. Shame on the Providence police chief for not putting accurate actionable intelligence out there for the American people to protect themselves and their loved ones. Because right now, we have an individual, man or female or transgender, running around who just killed a few people and put some people in the hospital. So, yeah, the mayor wants to say nothing to see here, everything's great. It's not. It's not. We have a liberal mayor in Providence who is more concerned about his reputation and the reputation of the DEI BS that's in Providence than the safety of the community. And right now, it's the safety of America, because this guy could be anywhere in America and he could be ready to go at any given day, targeting more Jews, more Republicans, and any campus, because we don't know where he's at right now.
That's crazy. And that's the other thing that I can't believe, because Eric, you think about with all the technology, look, with everything out there, and the FBI is, we've come a long way with technology, with the DNA and the FBI. And when I hear them say we can't find a person, I'm thinking, I go back to Osama bin Laden during that time. He was telegraphing. He was, 2006, 2008, 9, when they finally called him, he was texting stuff and putting stuff out from a cave. And you can't tell me that with all they spy on Americans. They can spy on us. They can tell you what I'm typing into my computer. They can tell you what you're having for breakfast. They can tell us. They can censor our Facebook post and censor our X post. But they can't find somebody that shot up a school and was shouting Ali Akbar. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, come on.
It's again, the politicians are using this, unfortunately, for their future campaigns. They're not. I mean, again, why is the mayor's trying to control the narrative, as you see? Right. Stay out of the way. If you want to say, hi, I'm the mayor, then step back. Let the police chief, let the FBI run the investigation instead of making this about your campaign.
Yeah, they always do.
It's ridiculous, and I'm tired of it. I'm really tired of it.
I'm with you there, buddy. Listen, I want to ask you a bigger question. I want to sort of pull back a little bit from this incident in Rhode Island, which is terrible. And our prayers for that young lady in Alabama and the other victim as well. He looked like he was a kid from India and was very well versed, very smart, very intelligent, studying, I think, chemics or physics or something like that. He was a very smart kid. But I want to look at the overall picture of America right now. You've had the Down Under shooting in Australia of Hanukkah. You've had this incident in Brown. There was a family in California that was shot up. Their home was shot up because they had a Hanukkah display. The media didn't really cover that too much. You've got pro-Palestinian people flooding the streets of New York every single day. It looks like a sea. It looks like a sea of people, thousands, tens of thousands. You've got the Somali fraud going on in Minnesota.
Yeah.
You've got the Somalians that are as dangerous as can be. Ilhan Omar is the ringleader. They should deport her. She should be in jail, to be frank with you, what she did, marrying her brother, to get into this country. And then to have her elected as a member of the Senate and Congress, man, is even more hideous. But my bigger question to you, you're a former federal agent. You've watched this stuff. You've served in other stations around the globe. When a nation's invaded and a nation is taken down, are you seeing things in this nation that are happening where we're being invaded from groups of people from within that are using our own liberties? They're using our Constitution. They're using rogue judges to pass this agenda that they're wanting, because ultimately, Eric, these people want the destruction of the United States. They are not our friend, and we better come to grips with that. But do you see an invasion going on from within? Because I do. And it's scary to me, because we can't stop something like this. This is not something that you can bring an army out and attack. Like if it was a foreign power, like say if it was Mexico attacking us, okay, you can send the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, Marines down there. You can deal with that. If it was China or Russia, you can deal with that. You can't deal with something from within, bro, because they're using our very Constitution to kill us and to destroy us. and you've got judges telling the FBI and ICE and telling Homeland release these terrorists because they've got a right to be here, and other crazy loony legal stuff. What's your take on all that?
Oof, that's a lot to unpack.
Unpack it.
But you're absolutely right. We have international criminals and then terrorists
That's correct.
who have invaded our country because of Barack Obama and Joe Biden. It's going to take at least a decade for our government to get a handle on international criminals and terrorists that are here as we speak, who are raping, killing, smuggling drugs and other contrabands into our country. And then we have our own elected officials that's supposed to represent us, and they're more concerned about the international terrorists and the criminals than us. It doesn't make sense, but it's a fact of life. We have mayors and governors and other elected officials who say they're pro law enforcement, but their actions don't match their words, do they?
No.
So we have a mayor who says he's an attorney and former whatever he is, state prosecutor or federal prosecutor, but he's telling his police chief, don't work with ICE. Don't work with Homeland Security to go after international criminals and terrorists. And so you're absolutely right. The bigger problem, I think, is in fact within America and these elected officials and the Democrat Party. That I think, personally, I asked a question few years back, and I wrote the article. It's up on switchedonlife.com. Is it time to ban the Democrat Party? And people would say, oh my God, you can't say that.
Yeah, you
Well,
can't.
I just did. And based on the actions of that party, the Democrat Party, they're acting more like a terror organization than a political party, aren't they? They have nearly destroyed America. They have spied on Americans. They have conducted search warrants on a person who was a former president, never done before. They have tried to put him in jail. They have opened the borders where, on average, those 4 years that Joe Biden was president, 100,000 people have died due to fentanyl, mostly. Drugs just pouring over our border. So, yeah, I think it's time for us in America to have a serious discussion. Should the Democrat Party be banned? Because people are dying every day at the hands of our elected officials. They're playing, as I wrote as well in an article, Russian roulette with our lives, with my life, your life, Chris. I mean, we're talking about this. We're inoculated, right? We're in our nice homes and we're having this conversation. It's nice and it's great. You go out there, you go to Philly, you go to Chicago, spend one night in Chicago, and then come talk to me.
Yeah, I'm with you, buddy. And just this past weekend, Eric, they had another 9 to 15 people get shot up in Chicago, and you've got a mayor in Chicago that's basically telling the police officers don't help ICE, and he is tied the hands of the police. He's tied the hands of the law enforcement there, and you've got Pritzker, who is the most ungodly governor I think we've ever seen. And it goes beyond Chicago. I mean, this kid that's coming into New York, God help the New Yorkers, what he's about to do with the police. Other cities, St. Louis, Seattle, Portland, all of these West Coast cities, Gavin Newsom's California, Karen Bass is LA, she's the mayor of LA doing the same thing.
Come on. Yeah.
All of these mayors, man, are going to have blood on their hands. But this is the bigger question, man. Is it also, can we lay it on the people of America? Because these are elected officials. Now, granted, I'm not naive to believe that I know that a lot of these voting blocks are stacked and a lot of these districts are redone to make sure Democrats stay in power. I get that. And I get there's cheating. I get that. I get that there is all sorts of malfeasance in these elections. I'm not going to sit here and say there's not, but I think that it's a crock sometimes when we think that it's not also a nation, Eric, that is not switched on. It's a nation that we have made the wrong assumption that our enemies are our friends. And we made this wrong assumption that we can shake hands and appease those that want to destroy us and make their lives better for them here and make these illegals feel at home. And we're being some kind, and I'm a man of faith, and I don't mean this sacrilegiously, but what we do is we say, well, you can't be a Christian if you don't treat the illegals right and you don't treat them with dignity and respect. Well, I don't know anybody that don't treat illegals with dignity and respect. But that does not mean that you allow them here illegally to run wild and do the very things you said, to rape, murder, bring drugs, and do all these things they're doing into our nation. That's not being a Christian. That's just being stupid. That is self-suicide. That is self-induced suicide of a country. And the God of heaven would not want a nation. Eric, we're the only nation. This thing drives me crazy. And you chime in on this, and I want to get your take on these narco drug dealers. You've been overseas, man, and you've seen how countries that have no law function, and you see these nations that you've dealt with administrations that they're nothing but tyrannical. And this is not America, but we're the only country that has the freedoms and again the Constitution that upholds our law that is being used against us. And then we sit here and open our borders. We do the things that we do, and it's like taking a gun and putting about 100 rounds of ammo in and just boom, 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 boom. We do it to ourselves.
Yeah.
That goes to the people. The people put these people in power knowing what they're going to do. And then we sit back and we're aghast at this stuff. And I think it's a spiritual problem. It's definitely a people problem. It's a political leadership problem. But I don't think the people of America can get off the hook and say it's all our leaders. It's us. It's us, bro.
Amen.
Not switched on. We're not switched on, bro.
Amen. We're not switched on. Just where I'm sitting right here talking to you in Massachusetts. I mean, we have a Governor Haley who should be thrown out of office.
Without a doubt.
And again, she's a Democrat. She's spent over $1 billion plus on the housing of illegal aliens. I mean, the state is broke. And that's why she wants the cities and towns to be able to raise their taxes. And so, yeah, she's nearly destroyed Massachusetts. But how did she get there? This is a governor who went to, while she was the attorney general, she went to Mexico and passed out business cards saying, come to Massachusetts, we'll house you, we will feed you.
Good.
Governor Haley did that. And while she was running for governor, she was the attorney general. She went to Mexico and said, oh, we love you and people and blah, blah, blah. Come to Massachusetts. Oh yeah, they came. All right. You invite them, they will come. As you know, I spearheaded a immigration raid.
You did.
And in Massachusetts, where we netted nearly 400 illegal aliens at one company. One. So if you invite them and you turn a blind eye, they will come. And it's not all good people that will come.
Well, here, can I just interject something? None of them are good people. None of them are good people. The very fact that you say they're illegal, that to me is the starting point. That defines their character. If they're here illegally, I don't care what reason it is, you have no justification for coming into a nation illegally. No other nation would put up with that. If they went to China and did this, if they went to North Korea and did this, if they went to Iran, a nation you're very familiar with, if they was to just think, hey, I'm going to go have a holiday in Tehran, Iran, and I'm just going to go and I'm going to go into the country without a visa and a passport, and I'm just going to dig up stakes and build a house here and talk bad about the mullahs and talk bad about the government and drain the mullahs of their money. What would you think would happen to these illegals, Eric? They'd have their head cut off in about 30 seconds. They're
Yep.
illegal.
Yep.
No other nation, that's what I'm saying, man. That's what I was trying to say a while ago. No other nation does this stuff than us. And again, if they're here illegally, this argument that there's some good people in this and some bad people, that's hogwash.
Chris, let me just say for you, and I've told you this before, I lived in Dubai, the UAE, for 4 years, and 3 as an agent for the U.S. government, and a year and a half for banking institution. So when I left Dubai, I overstayed my visa for about 10 days, right? So when I exited the country, I had to pay a fine.
Wow.
I had to pay a fine. I knew my visa had expired on, say, the 1st, and I was leaving on the, say, 10th. I get to the airport, and it was, you overstayed your visa. Give us $500. And I gave him $500. So in the UAE, you're very, like you're saying, it welcomes everyone for the most part. But if you come, you got to play by their rules. You want to enjoy the beach. You want to enjoy their culture, their food. You want to enjoy their music. You want to enjoy the beach. Okay, you can come, but you got to play by our rules. And if you don't, you will get arrested and you will get deported. And there's no questions asked. But here in America, we let anybody and everybody with criminal records or otherwise come in without a visa and stay in your house for free. Does it make sense?
No.
No, it doesn't. But we've elected officials, local, state, federal. We have some judges who help illegal aliens out the back door. We know,
Right.
I know of at least 2 cases where we have local judges say, "Oh, ICE is in the courtroom. Come this way. I'll help you out. I'll help
But
you
we've
out
got
the
a
back
case
door."
going on right now. The lady is on trial that day. I mean, it's going on right now. There's a judge that let and Holman arrested her, and the media went up in smoke, but they needed to arrest her. She broke the law. She, to me, should never sit on a bench again. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
100%. Well, it happened in Massachusetts about, I don't know how many years ago now, 4 years ago. And, nothing happened to her. She was debarred, I think, or I don't know. But anybody can Google Massachusetts judge helps illegal alien out the back door. So, yeah, we get what we voted for. So you're absolutely right. Americans have blood on their hands, too.
well, we've allowed it, Eric, some of it. And I'm not saying, I know this audience is conservative, and I know that a lot of people out there saying, well, I didn't do it. Well, we're not talking about you. We're talking about people in the general of the country.
General masses. Yeah.
General masses have done it. And the people out here, and again, they've used our laws. Now, I want to turn to something because there's a big uproar right now on the left, and these Democrats like Chris Murphy and Goldman and these scumbags up in your part of the country that give scumbags a bad name. True scumbags like Eric Carey and Chris McDonald, man, they're intruding on our territory. And look, we're scumbag, we're good scumbags.
Yeah.
But these scumbags are not good scumbags. That's an affectionate term in my family when we call our brothers each other that. But this is the thing, what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of uproar that Trump is systematically and arbitrarily killing people in boats that are coming from Venezuela that's got fentanyl and meth. And I'm going to be frank with you. I want to go on record. I got no problem with it. I hope he keeps bombing them. And I hope he keeps blowing them to smithereens. And I hope they keep becoming fish food. because the hundreds of thousands of Americans that have died on these drugs, Eric, he's saving hundreds and thousands of lives. And if these Democrats want to be so concerned about these drug dealers and these narco terrorists, that again, this is the same kind of argument, the same kind of reasoning that they're making with these illegals, is that these are just innocent people out for a fishing expedition. They're just out there catching some cod. They're just out there catching some catfish. I don't think when you look at a pallet of white powder in the back of a boat that's catfish. I mean, even us Southerners can, you can fool us Southerners with a lot of stuff, but even us Southerners know that is not catfish, man.
Yeah.
That's meth and fentanyl and cocaine and other drugs. I'm going to be honest with you. President Trump is the first president that I know in my lifetime that has ever been brave enough to do what he's doing and blow these boats out of the water. It should have been done 40 years ago, and it may not be at the plane it would be now. They felt like, and they feel like they can do this and bring these drugs into our country for a reason, because there's an open door through that Democrat Party and the Republican Party too, that they know that they've got jackanapes in D.C. that will go to their defense and scream to high heaven if Trump does what he's doing. And I'm going to tell you something. I fully 1,000,000% support the president in blowing these boats to hell and back. I don't have any sympathy for him. And I'm going to tell you something. If I was Mr. Maduro, I would be sleeping with one eye open, because I'm going to tell you something. He needs to be removed. Part of the problem, you got to cut the head off the snake sometimes. And I think that he is the snake and Colombia is the snake. And if they want to mess with Donald Trump, more power to you, brother, because I think Trump's got the willpower he'll see this through to the end, and he's not going to apologize. And people can hold their breath for an apology from Donald Trump, and they can hold their breath for an apology from this network about it. I think these people, I don't have any sympathy whatsoever. I pray for their soul. It's not a cold-hearted, I'm not totally cold-hearted. I pray for their soul, but their drugs that they're bringing in, they know good and well what they're doing, and I'm sorry, they get what you live by the sword, you die by the sword. That's the way I look at it. What say you?
Well, yeah. I mean, Chris, again, spend one night in Chicago or Philly, and as a police officer, and you make that notification to a mother or a father that their son, a 15-year-old son, just died from fentanyl, or OD'd on heroin or cocaine. Then come talk to me. The fact of the matter is, these drug smugglers are narco terrorists. They're terrorizing America. They've been terrorizing America for some 50 years. And, I was an agent for nearly 26 years. This is the only president in my lifetime, in your lifetime, who has the courage and the political might to say, I'm more concerned about my country than upsetting whatever country in their leadership. Most presidents, Chris, as you know, will get a call from Colombia, Venezuela, Peru, Mexico, and say, Mr. President, please stop doing this, and I will help you do X, Y, and Z. And more than likely, our president would stop doing it and wouldn't put America first. They would put the other country first. I've seen it, and you've seen it. This is the only president that says, you know what? No mas, no more.
No mas.
I'm taking the gloves off, and we're gonna start. We want to keep the drugs out. And that's the lesson we learned after 9/11. That was always the philosophy after 9/11, Chris, which was extend the border out as far as we can. So what we did, we put more agents overseas. CBP put container security agents, if you will, overseas, examining containers, because we knew Al Qaeda and ISIS wanted to put WMD agents in shipping containers to be sent to America. So, we also increased the visa security program at consulates and embassies, where we staffed it with agents from Homeland Security. So we wanted to properly vet visitors. And so, yeah, we're extending the border, and we don't want criminals. We don't want and their WMD products coming to America. So yeah, we're gonna terminate, if you will, individuals and or products coming before they get to America. There's nothing wrong with that. And yes, this is a war. If we want to have a war on drugs, let's take off the gloves and really have a war on drugs, because
And come on.
thousands of people are dying every year.
Well, it's a better war than what Reagan did, and I love Reagan. But when Nancy and him tried to say, "Let's just don't do it," like
I know.
don't do it, or don't do it, or whatever this phrase was back in the '80s,
Yeah.
just say no. That's what it was. Just say no. You can't just say no, Eric, because this is an addiction. This is a spiritual problem. But if the drugs are out there on the street, I don't care. It's going to. It's that's the problem. The source. You got to go to the source of where the drugs are coming from to stop it. And I think he's well within his constitutional rights. And that's my next question to you. Do you think that he is constitutionally on safe ground doing this? I do, because this is a threat. This is a terrorist threat to the country. And under the War Power, I don't care if they want to argue the War Powers Act or whatever. He's not declared war on anybody, even though it's an unspoken war. But he's got a right to protect America from things coming into this country that are destroying us. And these drugs are destroying us. It's $1 billion industry, bro. Probably approaching the $1 trillion industry.
Oh yeah, trillion.
Probably
trillion. Trillion, Chris. Chris, trillions of dollars we're talking. This is
and that's more than our national product.
And again, as you know, the cartels have been sanctioned as state sponsors of terrorism, and so we have 7 or 8 Mexican cartels, and their associates, and associated groups that are out there with the cartel, that they're working with around the globe, especially in Central and South America. So, I think the president has all the legal authority to carry out these strikes against terrorists, and that's it. I mean, this is a war. This is a war on terror. They've killed more Americans than any terror groups that are operating out there. I mean, we're talking, on average, 100,000 people die every year from fentanyl and overdose. We're talking, how many more die from suicide because of their drug addiction?
Yes.
I mean, so this is a no-brainer to me. This is a no-brainer.
Let me ask you.
This is a dangerous. You're involved in drug smuggling. You better have a life insurance policy under this.
Right now, you better. Right now, you better. We got about 10 minutes, buddy. I want to get your take on the Somali situation. And, maybe there's some people out here that don't even know where Somalia is in a map. Yeah. And I don't mean that bad, because, Somalia is not a country that you hear a lot about, but it is sure taken on the headlines of the paper here in the last week or two. And now we're finding out billions, maybe billions, tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud that has been given to the Somali refugees that have come in, thanks to Joe Biden and Obama and others. And I don't
George Bush.
I don't hold the Republicans guiltless in this, because it's a situation that's been developing for 20 years, and now we're paying the price for it.
Yep.
But how dangerous of a nation is Somalia? Because that nation is an Islamic hotbed too. And what's your take? Have you ever been over there? Have you been to Somalia?
I haven't, but I've been to about 6 or 7 African nations. Unfortunately, there's 53, 54 African nations. Unfortunately, they're all corrupt.
Right.
They're all, we're corrupt to the bone. We're not talking, we're not talking grass eater and corrupt. We're talking meat eater corrupt.
Right.
It's systemic. And so there's not one African nation that is stable. There's probably half, give or take, that are in the midst of wars. And Somalia is no different. It's run by cartels, criminal cartels, terror cartels, gangs. Basically criminal gangs, much like in Sudan, as wars going on there in South Sudan. And so these people, that's all they know. And they come to America as quote unquote refugees, and they, this is what they know is stealing, lying, and cheating. And for the most part, are there good Somalians? Sure. I don't, if you're going to ask me how many, I'm not sure how many.
Well,
But
I look at the Somalians like I look at all of them, Eric. I don't think there's any good ones. Look, can you honestly can I ask you a question? Just be honest with me. I know you
yeah,
will be. Do you really believe any of these people are coming over here for a better life? I do not. They're coming over here to subvert the government because that is what Islam wants, bro. They want the takedown of every Western civilization, democracy, every Christian, every Jew. We're circling back around to this anti-Semitism. It comes back down to the Rashida Tlaibs, the Elon Omars, the Ariana Presleys,
yeah,
all these squad members, all these people in Minnesota. Keith Ellison has basically winked. He is basically this attorney general in Minnesota. There is no telling how much criminal activity he's allowed under his watch of this Somali gang members. And then you've got this crazy Tim Walz, this tampon Tim governor
yeah.
in Minnesota that has been the sort of the snakehead. He's the head of the snake in Minnesota. And my question is, why cannot the Department of Justice do something about these corrupt leaders? I think that, when I get questions out here in the chat, and we can't take questions tonight with you because we're on a pre-recorded interview, but we'll get you on live after the first of the year and do that. But I do want to just say that you used to work with the Department of Justice. Why is justice so slow to move against these corrupt leaders? Because Eric, this is illegal. This is illegality. And I mean, I know that it's hard to take down a corrupt governor or a corrupt mayor, probably with the courts, but man, I think that it would make Americans feel better if we were seeing some of these corrupt officials take a perp walk. And I
Yeah.
think it should have been done yesterday, but we're not seeing any of that.
Well, listen, it wasn't going to be done under Joe Biden. We know
No,
that.
it was not. That's true.
And so these people have buried themselves into our society now. And to get them out takes time. I mean, and so our current DOJ, it's going to take some time for them to wrap their hands around all these criminals we're talking hundreds, if not thousands, of elected officials throughout this nation who have defrauded our government somehow. And it's going to take some time for the Department of Justice to put a case together, because you and I, we talk about it now, and say, yeah, he or she's corrupt. We got to prove it in a court of law.
That's the kicker. And a
And
lot of
so,
these cover their tracks pretty good, and they've got, the paper trail usually is destroyed before you can get to them, and that does not help, I'm sure.
yeah. So, I mean, as you know, and I know, we got to look, what's the law? What are the elements of the law? How are we going to prove each element of the law? Because even if, Pam Bondi thinks and believes that the governor's corrupt, and her assistants are telling her, she looks at the evidence, she has to say, well, are we going to be able to prove this beyond a reasonable doubt at trial?
That's well said. Listen, we're out of time. Got to get a 2-minute answer from you. This terror cell, or whatever these people were, the crazy loons in Los Angeles, that they found the bomb making stuff in the Mojave Desert yesterday, and they were planning a terrorist attack on New Year's Eve in LA. Are you concerned that we're going to see a rise in that here? It's already happening. I don't think anybody's shocked that we took down a terror cell. The question is, you've always said this to me, it's not a matter of when, it's if. But that if seems to be getting closer and closer and closer, Eric, because that could have been a deadly disaster New Year's Eve. Hundreds of people, maybe thousands, could have died in those bombs.
Well, how many more groups like that and cells out there are out
That's my
there?
question to you: is how many more groups do you think's out there? We've got to wrap it up on this.
Well, yeah, there are many more groups out there and individuals out there who have been inspired by ISIS, and or suffering from mental illness, and will act. We forget on New Year's Day last year there were a terrorist attack in New Orleans.
That's true. That's true.
And so it's happening. But America, again, you go back to you. Let me just go back to your point. We got to get switched on. We're so distracted with football or my girlfriend or the boyfriend or whatever else, baseball.
True.
We got to get a little bit more switched on about what's happening around us and within our governments, local government, state government. Because if we don't, then we see what's happening today. We'll reap, right? As they say, what we reap the seeds we sow. Is that it?
Absolutely. We do. We
And
reap what we
so
sow.
so let's get switched on, Chris. Let's start making better choices for ourselves, for our families, and for our neighbors. Um, and that elections matter, and we have to understand the number one priority of our elected officials is to protect our butts. That's it.
No,
That's
that's
it.
true, buddy. That's that, and I think that's what is so maddening because that is what our elected officials have been put in power to do, and they're not doing it. And we the people are literally we're left on our own to fend for ourselves against these criminals, Eric, and that's why you have such the carnage and the death, because most people do not get up in the mornings with the thought that I'm going to have to fight off automatic machine guns and bombs going off and cars being driven into crowds and suicide bombings and knifings and guns and people shooting up theaters and shooting up restaurants. We are living in a war zone in this country, literally. And I'll leave it at that. Buddy, I want to thank you so much. Listen, we're going to get you back on after the first of the year. I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas,
Thank you.
you and your lovely lady. And I want to tell you this. I joke around with you a lot. And I'm still going to send you some hair gel for Christmas. So maybe by this time next
Thanks.
Christmas, some of that bright spot that's been blinding me all morning. I've been trying to shield my eyes from that. He says he's still better looking than me.
I am.
I'm not going to argue that. But I do want to tell you, it's been a pleasure getting to know you. We've known each other now 7 years. Hard to believe that. And
Yeah.
9 years. Let me take that back. I met you in 2018.
Jeez.
So that's 8 years, and we're going on 8 years knowing each other. You've been a dear friend, and I will always be grateful for the day that the individual that didn't want to interview you turned to me and said, "Can you interview him?" And we became friends that day, and we've been friends ever since. We're gonna get Balding on maybe in January, at the end of January. I'd like to get y'all on and talk about Sudan and some other things. You have been a absolute great friend, great source of information to this network. But to me personally, I want to thank you for your friendship and just thank you for being Eric Karen. And we've shared bread together. We hope to do that soon again up in New England. And I appreciate you, man. And just know that we are praying for your safety and praying for you and your travels. And know that you have done a lot to help keep people switched on. And I appreciate that. And switchedonlife.com, folks, is his book. Please order it if you've not gotten it. It's a tremendous story of a man of courage and somebody that understands the world that we're living in. And you're looking at him right here in Eric Karen. Now, the check is made out to Chris McDonald, and down at the bottom says, "For kissing my tail on your show."
I love you, man.
I love you too, man. I love you too. I'm going to give you 1 minute. Just wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and I'm going to turn it off.
Well, God bless, Chris. I want everybody to enjoy the holiday and yeah, and stay switched on and strengthen our minds, get our minds, bodies, and souls, if you will, strengthened so we can make good decisions. As we talked about many times, we're faced with thousands of choices every day, and we have to make many decisions. And how do we make those decisions? Good decisions that keep us safe and help us stay healthy. And is by living the switched on philosophy. That's, again, strengthening the mind, body, and soul every single day. Because without it, you're off balance and you can't identify threats to avoid and escape, both in our physical world as well as our world out on the street. So let's get switched on, folks.
Could have said it better, buddy. Folks, listen, we'll be right back after this. I want to thank Eric Karen for being with us tonight, and we'll be back in just a minute with your questions for the show. Be right back. Eric Karen, everybody. Put some fire in that house. Eric, thank you, my friend.
God bless.
That was my dear buddy right there. What a great show tonight with him. And whenever I have him on, it's been a while since we've had him, and he's the kind of guest when you get him back after a while, you just are grateful for his insight and grateful for him. That interview flowed so good, and it's good stuff. And I could just sit there and listen to him for another hour. I wish we had that hour tonight. It's a little after 9 o'clock. I'm going to take about 15 minutes. If you've got a question, I know Roger Hooker, you had wrote something. I don't know why it got taken out, but I'll repeat Roger's statement about that he believes that the politicians and the leaders are in the bed with the cartels. Roger, I do not doubt that one bit. And, you know, Orlando Rodriguez, our dear friend down under, who we hadn't had on a while too, he has told me as such that the cartels only have a stronghold in this country because they've got a stronghold in Washington, D.C. And the amount of money that passes between the cartels and these leaders is probably, to put a figure on it, I don't think anybody can, but I don't think it's, I put it like this: when politicians sell their soul to the devil and they sell their soul to the cartels, they don't sell it cheap. It comes at a great price. And the thing about it is these cartels have the deep pockets and they can pay whatever the politicians are demanding. And, you know, I pray that one of these days that some of this is going to finally come out and people are going to be put in jail for it. It's been the detriment of our country. And I think the other thing that's happening right now, it's not just the cartels, but it's Islam, these Islamic groups, CARE, these pro-Palestinian groups, Qatar. I am no friend of Qatar. I cannot explain why President Trump is chum-chummying up to him. I can't explain why he's chum-chummying up to the leader of Syria. That is something that me and President Trump are not going to see eye to eye on. And I know that it's business to him, but there are more important things in business. And there are more important things as it relates to the American people than having a foothold in the Middle East economically. And while I know the Saudis are more moderate and they tend not to be as vociferous about Israel outwardly, they come from the same Islamic tree that wants to see Israel destroyed. And I cannot stress this enough that Israel's enemies, folks, these same people that are shooting up campuses and shooting up classrooms, shooting up houses, shooting up Hanukkah festivals in Australia, it's not just the Jews they hate. They hate the good old United States of America. And they want to see us destroyed along with Israel. Israel is the little Satan, we're the great Satan. That's in the mind of the Islamic caliphates of this earth. And no matter how you shake that up and wrap that up in a bow and try to put Chanel number 5 on it, as my dad, a late dad, used to affectionately say, you can't get away from that. No Chanel number 5 is going to wipe away that stink. And what's going to happen, we're going to keep doing what we're doing and allowing these people to run wild in Congress and run wild in government. I'll keep electing Muslims. You've got a Muslim mayor coming into New York here in January. You got a Muslim lieutenant governor in Virginia. You came this close from having a Muslim governor in Minnesota, or mayor of Minneapolis, I should say, not governor. You got tampon up there for that. You had a very liberal, pro-Palestinian, pro-Muslim mayor elected in Seattle, a young girl. We're going to keep doing this stuff, folks, and I'm going to tell you, we're not going to have a country. I'm not so sure that, I'm not going to ever say we've crossed the line we can't come back from, but I tell you what, we're rapidly approaching something of a point of no return. That's just my opinion, and I'll just leave it at that. Now, I'm going to take your questions and comments. Roger, you says, I don't think Trump was a fan of Rob Reiner. Rob, what gave you, Roger, what gave you that idea? What gave you that idea? And, you know, y'all can chime in on that. Rob Reiner was very anti-American. He was anti-Trump. I saw James Woods last night, and James was a good friend of Rob. And I like James Wood. James Wood's a conservative. Rob Reiner was a raging liberal. And James's take was that Rob loved the country. He just had a different view of how we got to be in a better America, where James was more conservative. But they never they never lost their friendship, and I get that. I will say this, and I probably have a little different take about Trump's comments. We've had Trump for 4 years. Now we've had him for another year. We've had Trump for 5 years. We've known what Trump is about for 10 years now when he first came down that elevator in 2015. And I know that the media is making a big deal of all the bad, hateful, ugly things that Trump said. But they don't repeat anything that Rob Reiner said about conservatives for all of his life. And I know that two wrongs don't make a right. That's not my point. But if you're going to call a spade, and you're going to say, well, Trump's an evil tyrant for saying all those ugly, hateful, hurtful things about Rob Reiner, then you need to address what Rob Reiner said too. You can't have it both ways. You can't say, well, Trump's hateful, and then not deal with the hateful rhetoric on the left. And folks, if you start peeling the onion back and you start looking at this rhetoric of Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes and the Hodge twins, this Anna Kasparian or whatever her name is, this guy on Piers Morgan, I don't even know his name. He's got black hair and looks like something out of a bad Addams Family movie. And, you know, all of this rhetoric and all this Jew hate and all this Jew hate and talk, and then you couple in that with all this American hate and talk. And, you know, Rob Reiner was big friends with the Clintons. He was basically coaching people during Clinton's campaign in 2016 how to donate and how to get donors. And, you know, he was all in on Biden. He was all in on Obama. He was all in on the liberals. And again, you know, you can choose that path if you want to. That's fine. I mean, that's Rob Reiner's choice. Look, from a personal standpoint, it is a tragic shame what happened to him and his wife. Their son evidently has been having a very troubled past. He had a very troubled situation. He was on drugs and God knows what else. And he went in a rage and slit both their throats last night or night before in Brentwood. And Rob Reiner is dead. We all remember him. I remember him as Meathead in the All in the Family series of 1970s. And, you know, he was a liberal then. And that character he played, he was playing in character of Archie Bunker's son-in-law. And him and Archie just, you know, they were always at each other's throat. Look, I don't rejoice in his death. And I don't think ultimately Trump was rejoicing in his death, but Trump was expressing his opinion about what Rob Reiner had said. And folks, Trump's got a right to do that. It should not shock us. It's who Trump is. It's what he's always been. You don't have to like his tweets. You don't have to like his personality. You don't have to like the fact he's your president and my president. But he is our president for 3 years. And it's just amazing to me how people get so bent out of shape about what Trump says. And I don't see any of these people getting bent out of shape about things the left says. They never get all that upset about what Joe Biden did for 4 years. They don't care about the country. They don't care about the illegals. They don't care about the whole state of the affairs. I love what Eric said, and he's right. We are so distracted in this country. We're so distracted by sports. We're distracted by the holiday. I mean, you're literally witnessing 4, folks, major anti-Semitic attacks in the last 48 hours, and all we're worried about is the Christmas season. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm a Christmas person. But we are in a dangerous world right now. And this world is in chaos. And look, a lot of things that Trump wrote about Rob Reiner, I don't even disagree with. He could have said it better, maybe. Maybe he could, maybe he couldn't. I say a lot of things sometimes I probably could say better. But it's my opinion. This is an opinion show. Trump's got a right. That's his Twitter account. You don't like it? Click it off. Click the X and don't follow him on Twitter. But see, it's just such a double standard. And we are in a fog. We're in a spiritual fog that the left can do anything, say anything, be as ugly and hateful and anti-Semitic, anti-American, anti-law, anti-Trump, anti-conservatives, anti-right, anti-God, anti-Christ. And nobody seems to care. Trump makes one tweet and he says some somewhat biting things about his man. And, you know, they even asked him about it and they didn't apologize. He said, look, Rob Reiner was no fan of me, and I was no fan of Rob Reiner. Well, folks, that's life. But the bigger problem is, see, that's a distraction. People are more distracted by that tweet than they are the danger that is burning at our feet. My Bible students are laughing because I've been in a rhyming mood lately. I don't know what it's been the last few days. I've come up with some great rhymes. We've got danger at our feet being worried about Trump's tweets. I'm going to say that again. We're more worried about Trump's tweets than the fire that is burning underneath our feet right now in the flames and the raging flames of Islam and Islamic jihadism and Somali takeover of Minnesota and an illegal invasion neighbor and rapes and murders and fentanyl and drugs. You've got people more worried about whether those boaters were going fishing in the Atlantic when they know good and well they were not fishermen, they were not innocent boaters, they were narco-terrorists bringing illegal drugs into this nation that can kill thousands, hundreds of thousands. Do you think the people that are raising sand about these killings care about that? No, they don't. No, they don't. No, we've got our focus on, again, a tweet about a dead actor and a dead director, whom, look, folks, I don't rejoice in it. I told my brother this. I sent Todd, my brother, the message about this the other day, and I told him, I said, bro, I don't rejoice in this. God doesn't rejoice in it. Heaven don't rejoice in the death of the wicked. But you can't get upset about Trump's logo and his jargon if you're not going to address the same thing that was coming from Rob Reiner. And you say, well, you're trying to say that two wrongs make a right. No, I'm not saying that two wrongs make a right. But what I'm saying, let's be fair about who's saying what and not get all distracted about a tweet. Because let me tell you something, folks. The people that Rob Reiner supported and the people that Rob Reiner would be all okay about. Just last week, when Rush Limbaugh died, he was out there basically saying Rush Limbaugh was the Antichrist and Rush Limbaugh had sowed division and he had blood on his hands. He called Rush Limbaugh every name in the world, even after Rush died. And he has said some of the most godless things about this nation, not just Trump. And I can respect James Wood's opinion. I can respect James Wood saying he had a different viewpoint. He had a different worldview than I did, but we remain friends. I got people like that. I get it. There's a lot of people out there that don't see things the way the Mac Man sees it. That's all right. I don't hate him for it. We don't talk a lot. We don't fellowship a lot, but I don't hate him for it. But I don't get in a debate with him either. But I'm telling you folks tonight, we got a dangerous world right now. Hope Eric Kieran, if you didn't listen to anything Eric Kieran said, that last part where he said we're so distracted that we're getting carried off into every distraction in the world while the world's burning. And it is burning. It is burning. And there's a dangerous element. Folks, we had folks, this thing in L.A., the FBI, it's like everybody, on a scale of 1 to 10, you tell somebody, hey, there was a possible terrorist attack that was foiled on New Year's Eve. That registers about a 1 or a 2 on their concern scale. Tell them that Trump tweeted something bad out about Rob Reiner. It registers a 50. That's what's wrong. That's what's wrong. And that's what we're doing our best trying to correct on this network, on this show. We've been trying to do that for 8 years. And sometimes we have succeeded and sometimes we have failed miserably, but we're still going to keep doing it. As long as we got a microphone and a camera and a light and the bills get paid. I'll amen myself. Patty, good to see you. And she says this. She says, I'm so happy that Trump is making fentanyl a terrorist act. That's how I lost my son last May. Way too many angel moms out there now. That is so true, Patty. And what he did, he declared it a weapon of mass destruction. That's what he called it today. And yes, it is a terrorist act. Yes, these people are a threat to national security. Yes, he's justified in doing what he's doing. Yes, I support him standing up to these cartels. Yes, I support him blowing them out of the water. They do not stop coming. You blow them out. You send a message to Venezuela. You send a message to Colombia. If you keep sending these people up here, they're going to die, and we're coming after you next. You cut the head of the snake off. And if the snake leads to Venezuela and Maduro, you deal with the snake. If it leads to Colombia, you deal with Colombia. And I know that the liberals out there, their argument is, well, the Americans want the drugs, so what danger is it that we're allowing these? That's the point, neighbor. Because drugs are addictive. And I'm sure Miss Patty would tell you, when her son got addicted, nobody wants to see their kid strung out on fentanyl. Nobody wants to see their kid strung out on meth. But if the meth and the fentanyl wasn't there, they wouldn't be strung out. I'll just leave that alone, and you can chew on that one. Well said, Patty. Well said. Well said. She said, since Nixon in 1971 declared war on drugs, President Trump is the first president I remember going after the source. Late 60s drugs seem to increase. They have been increasing since then, Patty, and we have become an addicted nation. You've got states that are legalizing some of the most dangerous drugs in the world. They would do it in a heartbeat, and we've got a spaced-out society. I might as well say it. Might as well sort of eating at me, a tip of my tongue. I don't want to say it, but I need to say it. Folks, we got a spaced-out society right now. We have got a drug-induced meth, drug-induced fog on most Americans' thinking. And my buddy tonight, when he said we need to get switched on, well, it's hard to get switched on when your mind is drugged out, isn't it? No wonder we've got the stuff we got going on in the streets and in our government and in our facilities. I'll amen myself on that one. Good to see you, Patty. Good to see you. Elaine says the Muslims are only here to destroy the USA. They want this country's assets and wealth. They want more than that, Elaine. They want to see every Jew and Christian dead. And I said it to Eric, and I'll say it again, folks. Please show me some Somali out there, or some Muslim or some illegal that's actually truly coming over here for a better life in America. If you're coming here illegally, that argument automatically is rendered null and void, in my opinion. If you're going to come here illegally, that tells me you're not coming here to assimilate and to do right by this nation. Because if you're coming here illegally to begin with, that lets me know you are coming in on a criminal basis. And the criminal and the criminality is just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. You're not here for the right reason. And if you're not here for the right reason and here legally, it's likely that you're here to destroy this country. That's elementary, my dear Watson. This new computer, I lost my elementary Watson thing. I need to get that back. I need to get going again. Get this show back on the schneid. On the schneid. Susan says, it appears so many people are on drugs behind the wheel. Susan, they are on the drugs, but it's not just on the wheel. It's people are on drugs in general, and because you've got states legalizing it. I mean, it's a pathetic shame Colorado legalized marijuana. I was not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of legalizing marijuana. I don't care how, and you got Christians out there arguing that, of all things. I mean, please explain to me. By the way, when you read Revelation 9 and it talks about sorceries, there's a verse in Revelation 9 that men would not repent of their sorceries, their murders, their fornications, their thefts, and sorceries. When you get to the Greek word of the word sorceries, it means pharmakia. And it speaks of pharmacy, which we get the term from, where we get drugs. And it speaks in these last days that men are not going to repent of their drugs. And you say, how is it tied to sorcery? Well, what does sorcery do? It puts a spell on you, don't it? It's what sorcery is all about. It's what drugs do. It causes your mind to be under a spell. It causes your thinking to be under a spell. And that's what we've got in this country. That's what we've got in this country. That's why we need to stay switched on. That's why we need to stay switched on. All righty, any more questions? You got about 2 minutes, and I'm out of here until tonight. Good to see everybody in the house. And Gail Kavanaugh. And I saw somebody else was new tonight. Kathy Turner Green, good to see you. Carol Bergedron from Canada. We got another Canadian that came in the house. Good to see you. Contrary to rumor, Carol, we do not hate Canadians. I was accused of that earlier this year. We do not hate Canadians. We just didn't like Canadians taking advantage of us with the tariffs, but we love you Canadians. Very much so. We got a lot of great Canadian listeners. And, you know, Trump was just trying to even the playing field. That's all. And, you know, whether he wins on that or not, I don't know. It remains to be seen. But, you know, we're just trying to be America first, and y'all are trying to be Canadian first. We're neighbors, so we love you. It's good to see you tonight. I'm just sort of saying a little bit of that little tongue-in-cheek. It's good to see you tonight. Thank you for being with us tonight. Good to see Jenny Castellanova in the house tonight. Jenny, good to see you, buddy. Others of you. And Susan says, Michigan legalized marijuana too. They have. Misha, it's more than the drugs distracting us from Jesus is coming. It's more than that. That's not what the devil's using drugs for. I can tell you that, friend. That's not what the devil's doing drugs. Drugs are doing more than distraction. It's killing people. Fentanyl can kill you. It destroys your organs. It destroys your inside. It destroys your mind. If you've ever seen a meth addict, their teeth, it causes teeth to decay. It just eats away and destroys the individual from within. Now, what's distracting people from Jesus coming is preachers that don't preach that Jesus is coming. They may be on drugs too. They seem to be. But no, this drug problem is more than a distraction. This drug problem, folks, is destroying families. And ask Patty Isaacs tonight, who lost your son to it. It snuck up on him, Patty. It did. As you say. It destroys people's lives. It destroys families. It takes sons from us, daughters from us, fathers from us, mothers from us, sisters and brothers, friends, loved ones. And it is a $1 trillion industry. So when somebody tells me, well, Trump is just so mean, shooting boats out of the water, and those innocent boat riders and those innocent guys, they were just out there having a good time. They were just doing their job. Well, let me tell you something. If your job involves you bringing deadly drugs into this country, you better get another job quick, because I'm going to tell you something. I'll support 1,000,000% him blowing every freaking narco boat out of the water that is doing it. And I don't blink an eye saying it. I don't blink an eye saying it. I'll even myself. Stephen, what do I think about medical marijuana? I don't think nothing about it. I don't think there's no such thing as medical marijuana, my friend. That's just my opinion. I don't think we should be legalizing it. I don't care what it is. I know there are people out there that disagree with that, and they're free to disagree. But my opinion is there is under no circumstances should we be legalizing drugs. Period. Period. There ain't a drug addict out there. And I've never tasted a cigarette. I've never smoked a cigarette in my life, Steve. Never taken a drug in my life. Never put anything in my mouth. Never had a desire to do it. Never wanted to do it. But I've seen drug addicts. I've talked to drug addicts through the years. I'm a minister, and I've seen it up close, what it's done to families. And I would think Patty might agree with this. If you don't ever get the taste for it, the way you get addicted to anything is you take it one time, and you get addicted to it. And once you get addicted to it, you can't stop doing it. A drunk that is strung out on alcohol had to take a sip of alcohol for the first time before he became addicted to it. So I'll just leave that for you to chew on. But what do I think about it? I don't think about it. It does not make any... And you know something, folks? Kathy and I were riding in the mountains here this week a little bit. And you... Just in our little part of Tennessee here, we're a very conservative part of the state. We drove down maybe a 5-mile road in one of our tourist attractions here, and I guarantee you there were 6 stores at least within a matter of 5 miles selling the CBD vape and the marijuana gummies and the cannabis, and it's become a big business. And I say it again, you don't have to agree with this. I guess eternity will prove who is right and who's wrong about this. There is no justification for the legalization of mind-altering drugs. Most of the people that wind up on cocaine and fentanyl and meth probably started out smoking pot. And then the desire for the drug got bigger, and then the pot didn't satisfy them, and then the devil put something else in front of them that had to give them a bigger high, and that turned into cocaine. That's where we had the cocaine issue for years. And the cocaine stopped satisfying people's desire for hallucination and drugs and being whacked out in their mind. So now fentanyl and meth came on the scene, and that became the higher drug. And folks, fentanyl ain't the end of this. I'm sure that these evil men that are creating these drugs are creating something that's probably going to be out there before some of us die, and we'll see it in our lifetime. There'll be a drug even more dangerous than fentanyl. It starts out with this unwise idea by mankind that we can legalize something that's killing us. And when we do that, folks, we become fools. Now, I know some of you ain't going to like that, and I love you for it anyway. And I hope you've enjoyed our early bird special. I'm just getting started tonight. I'm just getting started. I'll amen myself. Woo-hoo. I'll amen myself. Roger says, I hear they're making a vaccine for the fentanyl. Roger, I wouldn't doubt it. That's what man does. Man kills himself, and then he tries to make a vaccine to save himself. It ain't going to save him. Ain't going to save him. I'll just leave it at that. And folks, I'm not going to be upset with you if you believe smoking pot should be legal, then believe it. It's okay. It's just this is my opinion. It's my opinion. It should not be. It should not be. Anyway, all right. Since the questions have stopped, I'm going to stop for a little bit. I'll be back in about an hour and a half. We may have James Akers stay up with us tonight, talk a little bit more about this terrorist situation. And he was on last Friday night. And it's good to be back with you on a Tuesday. And we may have a surprise. Who knows? We may pull somebody in here tonight we ain't expecting. So make one of them come on back. We do have some video we're going to show you. Go through a news cycle. I'm wide awake. I've got myself wired up. Switched on. I'm switched on live, man. I'm switched on live. SwitchedOnLife.com. Did you enjoy Eric Karen? I hope you did. I love you all. We'll see you back here a little while, hour and a half. Now, if I fall asleep, it may be 12 or 1. But I'm going to try not to fall asleep and be back for a news cycle tonight because we've got a lot of news to talk about, a lot of stuff to talk about. May the Lord bless you tonight. If you enjoyed the show, put some fire in that house. Thank you, Eric Karen, for being with us. Thank you all for being with us tonight as well. And we will see you back here on the news wrap-up tonight with the Santa Claus hat and more. See ya.